What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Fresh Podcast, where we bring you everything fresh in entertainment. I'm your host, as always, Drew Brumfield. Join with me. We got a big crew today. We got first Seth. How you doing?
Hello.
Yeah.
Happy to be here.
Yeah. And returning again is Randy.
Howdy, howdy, the big dork with the Star Wars tattoo.
There we go. He loves that intro. And then coming back, we haven't seen him in a while. Robert, how's it been?
Danganronpa.
All right.
Well, that's all sad.
Wow, all right, great start. All right, well, today last week we talked about, Star Wars, so we're trying to mix it up this time. And so now we're talking about Star Wars, specifically Star Wars video games. And we've kind of decided, because we were originally going to think, maybe we should talk about our favorite. But for most of us, our favorite is the same game, one of the more recent ones, so we're just going to start with that one. And that's Fallen Order. Okay.
Well, I thought this was Star Wars Squadrons. Heck.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, my bad.
That game was fun.
Yeah, Squadrons
Pretty good game.
Squadrons was all
Play
right.
that again.
It was good
I need
for
to
like
play
a
that
week.
again. I could play it in VR because of the Oculus, and that was fun.
Yeah,
Oh,
then
that seems fun,
I do
but also
remember
kind of motion
that.
sickness.
Oh, it absolutely does.
I'm a peasant. I don't have a VR headset.
Yeah,
So
I got motion sickness on that game playing it on my TV from like 5 feet away.
really interesting.
That game
So
was
imagine being in the cockpit.
Robert experienced everything.
I felt like I was in Star Wars.
Yeah.
It made you feel like you were Star Wars.
Yeah. Star Wars Squadrons really made you feel like you were Spider-Man.
Anyway, the actual topic, Fallen Order, shall we?
Yeah, Fallen Order.
We gotta
Okay.
get going. Let's go.
Yeah, I guess, let's get this show on the road. Stop getting derailed. But yeah, Fallen Order was, it was Star Wars' first kind of, and I can't think of another term to call this, but just like Souls-like game, talking about like Dark Souls, where it's not like Force Unleashed or these other Star Wars games where you have all these different force powers and you have all these different lightsaber moves, or it's like Old Republic where you get a million different stats and a million different buttons and you become the most powerful Jedi the galaxy's ever, blah 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 blah. No, it's a very simple game. It's
I think a more important thing to add is also it was like the first single player Star Wars games that we had gotten since the EA acquisition. So that was I think since not Jedi Fallen Order. I think that was the last single player focused Star Wars game was Force Unleashed 2.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Which was 2011.
It was
Fallen
last,
Order on 2019, so a good 8-year gap.
Yeah.
That sounds right. I'm not going to fact check you on it, but yeah, that sounds about accurate.
I mean, please feel free to prove me wrong.
Yeah.
Not Fallen Order. Force Unleashed 2 was pretty bad.
It wasn't terrible. It was.
No,
I
it was
played it
pretty
on the
bad.
definitive edition. I played it on the friggin' Wii, dude.
That's
The
the
best
best
version.
Force
I
Unleashed
replayed
2
the
came out
game.
on the Wii. Holy
Yeah,
crap.
it did. It was.
Yeah, and it
It had the multiplayer mode.
Yeah, it had.
You guys
it,
didn't have that.
It was like a little Smash Bros
Correct.
mode.
Yeah, I'm sorry we played the 360 version, the one that actually had graphics. And
Yeah.
Lame.
It had
people look like they had
graphics,
more
but
than
not
2
one.
polygons.
But speaking about Fallen Order, ignoring stats at all, I'll just go straight to you guys and ask you, and I'll start with Randy. Randy, how do you feel about this game? Very general question.
General,
Like,
I
just in
like it,
general, yeah.
but there are definitely issues with stability across multiple platforms, even on higher end
Yeah.
PCs.
Yeah, that is.
Yeah.
I mean, the high end
big-
PCs kind of fix the issue for the most part, but
Yeah.
there's still stability issues.
Because that is the big elephant in the room with this game. Of it came out and it had, and we'll get into all these, but pretty decent story, really fun gameplay, really unique premise, and really it was unique for a Star Wars game. But the biggest thing that it lacked was running consistently, and it didn't matter if it was And I'm talking about on release. It didn't matter if it was PC, Xbox, PlayStation, whatever. I don't know if there's a Wii version. I hope there is. I don't think there is, but that'd be hilarious.
The
No,
Wii
there's
U
not.
was dead at that point.
Yeah, well,
And it
no, not the
wasn't,
Wii U, the Wii. I want it on the Wii, the OG one.
I don't know, the Wii outlived the Wii U.
Yeah. Nah, the Wii U. No one bought a Wii U. If people bought it, they played
I
Smash
did.
Brothers. But yeah, that was kind of, and eventually they gave it an update, and eventually it came out on next gen consoles, and people started playing it on like more higher res PCs, and so eventually it got fixed. So if you play it today, it's not as bad. There are still some moments where frames just drop to, the center of the earth, or
Hello, Dathomir, is that you?
or textures don't really load in.
I don't know if I
but-
agree with that. I'm sorry. I don't think I mean, I do agree. Like at release, it was kind of like that, but like now, like I went back whenever the Series X version like came out, and like at least there, it ran pretty smoothly all the way through, even like to Dathomir. I did like go there first to like get like the double bladed lightsaber, and it was like running pretty consistently. Now, granted, it did come like a whole couple years after the launch of the game, so it's like, is it really worth it? It's like, oh, now it's in like a really good stable state after like 2 years. It's like, and I can't really speak to that timeline, but I don't know. I personally think that like a lot of the technical issues are, I understand people like begroaning them, and it's understandable, but like in hindsight, to me, they weren't that bad, honestly.
Are
Like,
you
and
trying
that's
they
just
weren't
my
as
opinion.
bad on release? Or
I think at release it was like very inconsistent. After a couple, they did get it to at least in a consistent space. It was still running at like cap 30 on like the consoles, and I know that
Most
PC
consoles.
did have like the PS4 and like Xbox One, but because those were the only ones available at the time.
yeah.
But I think like now especially, it's in a good space.
Yeah.
Well, it was like if you had the Xbox One X, you could get it up to 60, and it tried to hit 60. Tried.
It tried its best.
Well, I don't think it. No, I don't know if it was even aiming for 60, because it more was like capping around like 45 frames per second, if I remember correctly. Because like that, I think that's what like the Digital Foundry video like talked about. So like I don't even know if it was like even going for 60. Like it was, which is a weird frame rate to be at, which is like 40 frames.
Yeah.
And inconsistent at that, so it just looks bad to me.
I
I just ended up playing it at 30.
when I replayed
Yeah, I think I stuck with 32 because that made more sense.
Yeah, that's just. I'd rather have it be consistent at 30 than inconsistent at like anything else. But when I play it on, and to be fair, I have like the original Xbox One because I'm broke. So when I replayed it, it was better and it was noticeably better, but there were still a few moments like Dathomir. There was I can't remember the planet, but it's the dungeon where you finally get Force Pull. That one.
I think that's Kashyyyk. I'm not entirely sure, but I believe it's Kashyyyk.
Can't remember
One of
off
the
top my
tombs
head,
there.
but, like that one also, it was mainly just like that one had an issue with like textures loading in, but that I had that issue also like before it updated. But yeah, on release, I don't think anyone could. It's not like it was unplayable, by any stretch. Like, because almost every issue could be solved with just like resetting the game, and then it'd be fine, and then it'd be it. But it was noticeable, and it was kind of like the big issue when it first came, especially for like a AAA developer with like a game like this. It had very like kind of high expectations.
Yeah.
Well, I think also like it's in like a weird spot where this is 2019 and like literally a year before actually the time frame it was like came out, it's like about like only a couple months before the newer consoles were even announced. It
Yeah.
does feel like it's in that awkward space where the hardware is obviously aging, but the technology is starting to outpace it. So you're basically, it feels like Respawn had to like sort of cram like almost like a next gen game for last gen consoles.
Yeah.
And that's kind of impressive whenever you think about like what they did manage to pull off.
But I do definitely agree with you that this is a next gen game trying to work on previous console. I agree with that point. But other than like the actual like frame rate and textures and the technical aspects of the game, Seth, how did you feel about just like, we'll start with what I think is the most important thing for any game. How does just bare gameplay, before story, before any of that?
Yeah, I really like the gameplay in the Jedi Fallen Order, and it's because like while it's not doing anything exceptionally like new with itself, because you see little elements of games. You see the combat has been compared a lot to like the Souls type games. In particular, I'd probably compare it more to like Sekiro, because it's more focused on like parries and breaking your opponent's guard, tactile combat like that. And then it's also comparable to like Metroidvanias, where it's about finding new abilities, so it unlock new routes to places you've previously been to, so you can explore. And it also has elements of like Uncharted, where it's like little bits of platforming and cinematic sequences to sort of like tie everything together. And like I said, none of these is exclusive to Fallen Order, but I think it managed to blend all those elements together into one really good cohesive whole that in some ways is better than the games it's like been inspired by.
Yeah.
I think also like another big part of it is that, like, for example, the Souls-like combat. I wouldn't say the game is as punishing as a Souls. I think it does force the player to be more tactical. It makes them more vulnerable, but because of that, I think it ties really well to the story. I won't go too much into it, but you really do see your character's growth, like not only through the story, but how they fight as well. As the obstacles in their journey start to escalate, Cal evolves to meet those challenges, and I think the gameplay like services that really well.
Yeah, no, I agree, because it is a bit, especially compared to Star Wars games in the past. Like, if you compare this to a Force Unleashed, this is tremendously harder. Like, it is a pretty difficult game compared to any other Star Wars game. Like, it isn't as much as a cakewalk, especially as you get into more like higher difficulties like Master, Grandmaster, New Game Plus. Robert, you play a lot of like the Souls game and Sekiro and all those type of things. Do you think how would you compare this, like Fallen Order to those, or do you think there is a comparison? Or
Yeah. There's kind of a bit of a comparison. That kind of jumping off of Seth, I agree with the Sekiro type comparison, because it's more like the parrying type combat. If we're comparing it to a like Souls game, like strictly, I would say it's a beginner's like Souls entry type thing. Like, someone who's never played a Souls game could learn how that kind of formula works through this, because the combat isn't nearly as punishing. But it has a lot of like similarities where you have to react to enemies' movements and kind of study their attack patterns to like find your openings and whatnot. And also same with like stamina management. So you have to manage like, okay, how many hits can I get in? Also be able to dodge, or however like fits your play style. So I think with what it's trying to be, it does that pretty well.
Yeah, I agree. I even had I remember like one of my friends who he doesn't play like Souls game a lot. Like, he got to, I think it was the Ogdo Bogdo fight, which, by the way, he went to it early, and that's a completely optional fight, but he just got frustrated with it and then raged at the game and didn't play it for a very long time. So yeah, I mean, it is kind of, especially for people who aren't used to the Souls games, it is punishing. But I don't know. I never compare it to that, mainly just because I'm not the biggest fan of those type of games. Not because I think they're bad. I just never have the attention span
You're
long
trash.
enough. Yeah, I'm trash.
Okay,
I'm garbage.
Too. My bad.
I never.
Can't
It's
beat
not
the
even.
Souls game.
It's not even that like.
I never dedicated the time to.
Exactly. That's what I mean. Like, it wasn't even that like I ever got stuck on a boss or whatever. Because I think I've said this multiple times, but like, I would get to it. I would find a difficult boss, and whenever I beat it, I'm like, great. I'm gonna put it down now, and I would just lose interest in the game and just forget about it. But something about this game, and now it's probably because it's Star Wars, so of course I'm gonna play it. But like, even beyond that, something about this game, like I got really entranced with it, and it was probably a mixture of the story and the gameplay. It wasn't. It had like the general outline of like a Souls type game, but it still had like a little bit of a different feel, which I know isn't the best.
It still felt like a Star Wars game.
Yeah.
And you already like Star Wars games, so it didn't feel like anything you haven't really like seen before entirely.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why I think I was able to get through it and like really dive into like the gameplay and all that stuff.
Because like in your case, it kind of just feels like you don't really know much about the world of Souls, which granted nobody really does at the start.
Yeah.
But it's just harder for you to really get into because the gameplay isn't entirely your thing, and the world isn't clicking either. But like with like Star Wars, it's something you're very familiar with, so like it's more interesting to you by like default.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It makes it more, and it's also like more accessible. I think one of the
difficulty sliders.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like the fact that like I think one of the things that Jedi Fallen Order kind of proves really well is that like you can still make like a difficult game, but also add in like difficulty options and still, in a sense, preserve like the intention of the game.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like whenever you think about it, whenever you mess with the difficulty options, you're still studying patterns. Enemies might be aggressive or do a bit more damage, but in the end, you're still learning the same way to play these kinds of games, which is watching for patterns and memorizing them and learning how to counter those.
Yeah, and they have the same amount of health.
A little bit forgiving. Yeah, exactly.
It's just they hit a lot harder.
Yeah.
And the window is tighter for parry.
And there's nothing special for you to gain from Grandmaster difficulty other than bragging rights, which is something I actually like. The fact that like it's purely your own incentive. There's no special cosmetic. There's no achievement. Nothing. You only do it because you want to. That's it.
I don't know why, but that does. That does. You are right, Seth. That like there is no special thing. But I remember anytime I would play it on, like when I played through the first time, I was just playing it to beat it. But on my second go, when I was like New Game Plus, Grandmaster, I had the different outside purple lightsaber, and every single boss, I would get so frustrated at, not because it was like beating me or killing me, but because I wasn't killing it cool enough. Like if I didn't perfect parry like a very specific attack, I would almost purposely die just because like, no, I didn't get the run I wanted. I didn't get the cool, so like, but I don't get any special achievement for that. I'm doing that just because I want to, and I think that speaks to its gameplay of, it looks really cool and it's really satisfying when you've like mastered this combat, and when you do like these perfect parries and dodges and rolls. It's really like, it's a very satisfying feeling to play this game, but
Makes you feel like a Jedi.
Yeah, it really makes you feel like Spider-Man.
Well, just to add to your point then, like, I think the reason why you feel that way is because, like, if you get, and I'm not saying this is the intended way, but if you get really into these types of games, and I know that feels, I got going in Jedi Fallen Order and other games like the Souls types and like Sifu and stuff like that, is that at a certain point you start to understand the mechanics so well that like it like for some players you do kind of like, I want something a little bit more than this. Like I'm at the point it's like when you're like, it's like I hate to put it this way, but it's like in kung fu films when whenever like the person is, no, I got a specific scene. If you've seen Ip Man, or at least know that one scene where he's like, I want to fight 10 guys. The guy is so good at kung fu now. He's like, nothing else is doing it for me. Give me 10 men.
Yeah.
I will fight 10 men right now. And I think that's kind of a similar feeling where if you get into these games enough, not saying you have to, but if you get into these games enough, Jedi Fallen Order delivers on that. It's like, all right, cool. You can go for flashier finishers. You can go for higher difficulties. You can go for, if you're a psychopath, no damage runs.
I really like the Ip Man reference, but I do have to point out, because I'm sure someone else will, that's not why he fought 10 guys to just brag, right?
To be fair. No, to be fair, I understand that because, to be honest, I only watched the clips.
I know, yeah, that's what I thought. I was like, that's not the premise around that. No, the premise around that scene is you get more food, the more fights you win. And he's, like, trying to feed, like, an entire village. So that's why he's like, just give me 10 dudes. When, like, most of the guys can't even beat one. Like, that's... he's not doing it just to brag. I mean, he kind of is, but that's not... Sorry, I just found that funny. I was like, Seth probably hasn't seen that movie.
No, I have not. Although I probably could because that scene is really funny.
It's a really good... Yeah, it's a really good movie and a really good scene. Yeah, that's... early fresh pick right now. Watch Ip Man 1 through 4. 1 and 2 are really the only good ones, and then 3 and 4 kind of. But at every point, it's like good martial arts. So.
Yeah, unfortunately, the only really kung fu movies I could say that I've watched, and I don't know if they really count, is like the Rush Hour films and The Matrix, and I'm not sure those count.
I don't think The Matrix counts.
Matrix kind of does. It kind of does.
It's paying homage to those movies.
I'll take your word for it.
Watch it.
I haven't seen The Matrix in a hot while.
All right, Matrix podcast next time.
Right. I'm down for it. But speaking about like combat, Seth kind of mentioned this earlier about like kind of it's Metrovania style of gameplay, which for those who don't know, it pretty much means that like as you progress through the story, you'll come into obstacles that you can't interact with yet because you haven't unlocked things. But as you go through the story in the game, it gives you more power-ups and more. And then so you can't go back and unlock those things. And I really like, and I'm going to kind of steal your line there, but like how it's tied into gameplay and the story, where it's because the whole premise is Cal was a Jedi, but Order 66 happened, everyone's favorite massacre, and so he kind of shut himself off, he abandoned it, and so his journey is learning these skills again to kind of be a full Jedi. So he's not like Starkiller from Unleashed, where he's pulling Star Destroyers out of the thing and taking on 5 million starships and troopers and shoot lightning out of his fingers and everything. No, like 5 stormtroopers is a lot for him. But as you go through the game, you get very simple abilities, just push, pull, and freeze, and then you can double jump. But because of like how the gameplay is simple and like the way the combat's very focused and very like tight, those feel like big abilities. Like it feels more impactful beating like two purge troopers than if Starkiller fought the Emperor and Darth Vader at the same time. Like that doesn't have a moment, but for Cal it does when you succeed in something big like that, because you feel like you've earned it. Even though he's not doing as flashy things, it feels more impressive because A, it was harder, and B, you actually felt you went along with his progression. He didn't start as like the best whatever thing. Like, no, he had to build that up, and you felt that as well because you went through it. But kind of going with more like the story idea about it, Randy, how did you feel about the actual story of the game, like the setting and Cal's journey and all that?
All right, in regards to the story, it's a relatively simple story. It's not like a new story. Character loses their ability, was in hiding. Oh no, I need to come out of hiding to complete task and chase MacGuffin around an area. But I think overall the characters that you meet are very compelling. Trilla's backstory and motivations I see as to be done quite well. Especially, also agree with Seer's backstory and how that's obviously interwoven with Trilla. And even characters that we don't talk to as much, or they come into the game relatively late, depending on when you meet them. Marin, I know Marin's a fan favorite amongst people.
Your goth
Because
girlfriend,
honestly,
yes.
we don't know that much about Night Sisters and stuff like that. So just to kind of have, because everyone's like, oh yeah, the Force, it can do stuff, but then like, you bring magic, Night Sister magic. I don't know, it's just different. And so I think it's fun to explore that.
People like Marin.
I will
mainly
say
'cause,
Cal seemed,
is
I
your
never
goth
got
girlfriend.
super attached to Cal. But I mean, it's still fine. So I hope in the next game they expand more.
Yeah.
So
Randy, you kind of forgot about the best character in the game, which I do like Cal. I really like that he's like this very like optimistic, positive person. But he's not the best character. It's not, it's not anyone.
Grievous.
No, it's not Grievous. It's not
Oh,
Grievous. It's
Grievous. Grievous isn't in the game.
No, not Grievous. I meant Greaves. Yeah, but it's not
Grizz.
her. It's not any of the sisters.
BD1.
Easily
To be fair.
BD1. Yeah, BD1
BD1
is
is pretty darn cute.
He's the cutest thing. Cal calls him Buddy because BD1. You can just say it fast. It sounds like Buddy. He gives you your stims, your healing flash, your ever so he's important in gameplay. He's incredibly cute. He's helpful. He actually has his own like kind of important story about him finding almost like a new owner because he's very dog-like. And
He's a little puppy.
he is a little puppy, and anytime like he gets a stim, he does a little twirl and shake his little robot butt.
So what you're saying is he's super marketable.
Yes, incredibly.
Yes.
And it works. And honestly, I want
And it worked, damn it.
more.
He was at Book of Boba Fett.
Yes, exactly.
He was.
And I remember my exact reaction.
Or at least the
was-
same type of droid.
Yeah, I remember my exact reaction when watching Book of Boba Fett. I was watching it with my 3 roommates at the time, and then he came on, and because they don't really play video games, I was the only one that went, yes, B1! And then he the guy like shot at or like chased by a thing, and I went, no! And screamed, because I love this little dude. He's so helpful, and I love him and Cal's reaction, and he's easily my favorite droid in all of Star Wars. Like, I think I like him more than Baby Yoda. I want like marketing and toys and towels of Buddy. He's great. That was my little, sorry.
fair.
Had to go on my little like tangent about why BD1 is best droid.
I mean,
That's
he
fair.
is.
Yes, he's best.
I'm
droid.
totally going to get, I think it's on pre-order. I think it ships next month. Is Lego is doing, like, you know how they did the helmet series and they have
Yeah.
a couple characters and stuff like that? They're doing one for BD1.
Oh,
That's awesome.
that's
That's
amazing. But yeah, BD1's great. But other than him, Seth, you kind of talked about like a little bit about like gameplay and story. Did you want to talk more about like the story of Cal's progression? I think you kind of started bringing that up.
Yeah. I really like the story in Jedi Fallen Order just because, like, don't get me wrong, I do like the grand scale of like a lot of the films, like the stakes of like the whole galaxy. That's awesome. But I really like Jedi Fallen Order for a couple of different reasons. I like that it's such a smaller scale and it deals with the character not only dealing with like their own past trauma, but also dealing with like you're kind of messing with forces that you have no control over. So basically it is about like just doing what you can. Is the way, at least to the story. And I think I feel like that's part of Cal's journey. One thing I really appreciate this era of Star Wars is that I think it's taken another look at Order 66 and really honing in on the ramifications of that event and how truly awful it was for the Jedi and for just the galaxy as a whole and how awful and traumatic it was. We saw that done really well in Kenobi.
Yeah.
Which apparently, according to the last podcast, I hate. But But I think Cal's journey, where he didn't even, like you mentioned, like he was a Jedi. I don't think he even completed his training. Like he was
Nah, he
still
was a
a
Padawan.
He was a Padawan.
Yeah. So like, which I think speaks even more to his own growth. We talked about this before, at least in personal conversations, true. But one of my favorite scenes is towards the end of the game when Cal is basically trying to rebuild his master's lightsaber because it gets broken again. And he basically, when he gets to the cave, everything seems awful. Even if I remember correctly, that part, even the crystals aren't going right.
Not only did like he mess up his own thing, he had to get a new crystal, and the crystal broke in his hand.
Yeah.
And it broke in half. That's right. Yeah, it broke in half. But
I felt that.
he takes, and what I love about it is that scene is he takes a piece of Seer's lightsaber, and he takes a piece of his old master's lightsaber, and he grafts it together with these two broken crystals. And it might be a bit on the nose, but it kind of shows that like Cal is not going to be properly healed of his trauma. It's not going to go away, but by facing it and trying to live with it, he's to build himself up and build himself back better because of that pain. And because he's able to face it. And I think it's like such a good scene.
Yeah. I also really like that moment too, because of really the moment before of just like, first off, what leads up to that is Cal meets like an actual like Sith, not one of the sisters, like another Sith, and he loses bad. Like his lightsaber is broken, so you have to do this whole segment where you have to run all the way through Dathomir, arguably the hardest planet, without a weapon. And you just have to, do this dead sprint where, like, things are chasing you and everything. And then when he, like, at, like, the journey to this moment, Cal is a very optimistic person. He's always tried to, like, keep others uplifted, even through all these dark times. And then when that crystal, like, breaks in his hand and he just crumbles and it's just like, God dang it, I just hate it. Like, he doesn't say all that, but you feel like he's just so frustrated. And I think that's when I really related to the character of just like, he's trying his hardest to stay up and upbeat, but just everything is crumbling around him. And like, it just feels like such a low moment that he then, then he turns around and, but keeps going. I don't know. I really like that moment. I think that's kind of the moment where I'm like, I actually really like Cal. Like, he's not like super fantastical or like the best Jedi, but he feels very human.
Yeah, it's a very like authentic feel to it because it's like, yeah, he's like very much a beginner.
Yeah.
He's not instantly like cutting down like rows upon rows of stormtroopers.
Yeah.
And like, I mean, just going back to that scene, like it's just like like I said earlier, it's what makes it so good about like Cal as a character is it's not that like he gets through everything flawlessly, is that he has taken his setbacks and he's taken his failures and he's making himself stronger by the end of this story.
Yeah.
Like that's what's great about it. Like that's what I love about the story. And like, I like the Star Wars films and stuff, and you can fight me on this, but I've always based on certain games, I've always preferred the narratives of Star Wars in games more than I've enjoyed them a lot of times through like the films. And I feel like Jedi Fallen Order probably has one of like my favorite like little personal character arcs with Cal. Yeah. He may not be like my utmost favorite character, but I do love his arc and like his growth as one.
Yeah. No, I totally agree with that. Something that, I thought of, and I've been thinking about this a little bit, especially with Kenobi, but Seth brought up that, and the whole premise of this game is, it starts with Order 66. Like, Cal's a 66 survivor. And he, obviously he's not the only one, but I wanted to ask you guys with, Fallen Order and Kenobi and the Bad Batch series, and a lot of these mediums about Jedi that survived Order 66, and we keep learning about more and more Jedi that are alive. Kanan and Ezra from Rebels. do you think at a certain point, Order 66 kind of loses its punch? The more we find out about, well, no, this person also survived, and this person also survived, and this person also survived, and this is a general question anyone can.
Yeah, I mean, I see where what you're getting at,
Yeah.
but I don't know. I mean, just watching Order 66, at least in this game, I mean, still pulled up my strings. Watching it in Kenobi, less so, but I don't know. I think probably this one pulled more of my strings just because the scene was so much longer than the one in Kenobi.
Yeah.
But I could see what you're getting at to where it could do that for some people.
Because, I mean, we are.
I mean,
Go ahead, Seth.
sorry, I'll throw this in here.
Yeah.
As long as I feel like they tell a story worth telling about Order 66, I'm generally okay with it. Because sometimes, like, yeah, they survive, but it doesn't always mean it's a good thing. It doesn't always mean they stay on the light side. I think Reva in, like, Kenobi is, like, a really good example of, like, you can survive, but you may not come out all that well.
Yeah.
Like, it, like, and I'm sorry, I feel like I have to talk about this because I don't think I got it. I forgot to mention it during Kenobi. I really didn't like Reva much as a character at the start, but once you started to dig more into like her backstory and why she is the way she is, she did start to become like one of my favorites real quick.
Yeah, like that's not to tangent way too much into it, but that's kind of I agree about Reva. It's like I didn't like her at the start because she felt really one note. But then, like, as they give her more, like, time to develop, she becomes more of an actual character.
Yeah.
Her motivations become much clearer.
Yeah.
So, like, as long as they keep making good characters like that, I say go for it. Keep milking Order 66, I guess.
I do agree. Maybe I wouldn't phrase it like that. Maybe don't milk it, but I do agree. Where it's like,
Disney, and they will milk it.
I mean, they already have. Like, let's not.
Yeah.
Like, it's
Disney's like, we're going to milk this sucker to the ground.
Because what is the...
Don't worry, Drew. And probably in 2 years, we'll probably get back together for, like, Kenobi Season 3, and we're all exhausted of Order 66 at this point.
Oh my
So
God.
don't worry.
At a certain point, it's like, did you guys get anyone? Like, come on. Did you guys kill anyone in this? But yeah, I mean, Randy, because I was just thinking about it, because I think, Randy, you might remember it, but like, how long is that like very extended version of Revenge of the Sith with like, or not Revenge of the Sith,
With
but
the last 4 episodes of Clone Wars,
Yeah,
4 hours.
yeah, and that's not even
Or
counting.
maybe 4 and some change.
Yeah, and that's not even counting like the games and comics and different other things. So like it's, but I think Seth makes a really good point of as long as it's a good story to tell, keep going with it. I just posted.
If there's not a good story to tell, don't keep going with that. Show them with the sequel trilogy. Sorry, gonna. Sorry, now I say that out loud. I feel like that was unfair.
Nah, I give it a little jab. It's alright. It's fair. I lost my thought, but yeah, I think that's fine. So staying with kind of last, is there any? I guess. No, I'll go to the. This question. So with Fallen Order, there's a lot of, we talked about the challenges of it. Did you guys have any like, and I know like for all of us it was very long ago when we played it, I replayed it, but so of us it's been a minute. Did you guys have any like a boss or any point in the game that was just like incredibly difficult for you or like really hard to get through?
I have one.
Okay, go
I
ahead.
have one. The hardest boss in this game is this friggin' map. This map is impossible.
I agree.
Dude,
as a
truer words
person
have never
who
been
is a
spoken. You're right. You're right.
as a completionist, when there's an achievement to uncover every part of the map, and the map doesn't tell you anything, it's this admittedly cool looking holographic thing, but it doesn't tell you anything. It doesn't really give you like any like key information. You're like, God, I wish I could just press pause and pull up just a normal looking boring map, because this thing is awful. I hated it.
Doom
And God
Eternal,
help you
this
on
is
Kashyyyk
not.
when it has different elevations. Yeah, that's my little mini rant. That's the worst boss in this game. Is this friggin' map?
You are so right, because I get why they did it, because it's Star Wars, so you have to have the blue hologram. But oh my gosh, you're so right. The map in this is terrible. It is hard, isn't it?
There's
So
a
bad.
little thing that's called functionality.
Yeah,
It matters more than you think.
yeah. No,
I
honestly,
want
above
boring and functional.
above gameplay, above frame rate, but kind of a functional map. That's the most important thing. That's good cause.
Spending several hours kind of just wandering around, especially like Dathomir when you get into the lower pits, and it's
Yeah.
trying to just like, how do I get out of here? I keep looping back in on myself. I just want to get back to the Mantis.
I'm missing one of these like force echoes, and I just don't know where it is.
There's just a
I think
check.
at one point I gave up because I think also there was a glitch to where I think I had everything, and then I think on Bogana there was a glitch for a while. I don't know if it finally got patched or not. I assume it did, to where one of the scans wouldn't show up sometimes.
Oh no!
Oh no.
Oh, that's the worst. It's like you literally have to like part of the achievements is you literally have to collect everything. So yeah. Sorry, I am a huge completion, and I'm only a completionist with games I really like. So this hatred comes from a place of love.
To be fair, I mean, it was the same. I was trying to complete the game, and then once I kind of read into it, and it was like, yes, it's just not there. I was like, all right, I'm done. Just never going to worry about completing it ever again. Which I've never tried to complete it since, which I'm fine with, whatever.
Also, Randy, since I know it worked this way with some games I've played on my PC, but like there are mods that you can just download where it just gives you all the achievements.
That's called cheating.
I'm sure there are, but I'm good. I'm using mods at this point just to go back through the game and have different experiences.
The cosplay as like Star Killer, like tearing apart people. I've seen those mods; they're pretty rad.
I did that at one point. You can be Revan and shit, and you can have like Seer have her Jedi robes the entire time, and there's like a cyborg Greaves and stuff. It's fun. So
Don't forget about the coolest model,
I'm
just
surprised
Buff
we haven't
Cal.
heard
Don't forget.
Buff Cow.
Yeah, no, Buff Cal is a real mod. Randy was telling me about it.
It is.
That's
there's a
incredible.
Buff Cal mod.
Yeah, what is it? Is it 3 different versions of just muscular Cal?
Yeah,
You know what
there's
I-
like less, medium, and then a lot.
Yeah.
So
What I really want as a mod is I want I want a 30 different new ponchos mod.
Oh my
I just-
gosh.
hell no, fuck the ponchos.
No, that's a great. No, that brings me to my great question of how'd you guys feel about the
Mode.
cosmetics?
I don't like them.
I love.
I can't wait to collect more ponchos in Jedi Survivor.
I hope there's like I hope Pal puts on like 6 different ponchos at once. I want to customize my poncho.
You guys
I
remember
want to
this?
be able to customize every single fiber.
You guys remember this?
I want the Raiden like sombrero poncho combo from Metal Gear Rising in
Oh
Jedi.
my god, yes.
In Jedi Survivor. That's what I want.
Yes.
You remember the scene at like the end of Rise of Skywalker's like, I'm all the Sith and I'm all the Jedi. Cal just shows up in the back and I am all the ponchos.
He's just wearing like 8 ponchos. He's just like super thick, and he's like, "I'll take you on, Palpatine." Hits him with the Force lightning. It only pierced the first layer of poncho.
That was
See,
my
you
default
can't be
poncho.
like killed by like a lightsaber because the ponchos will absorb the lightsaber.
It's just too thick. It's like those metal doors, like in the show that it takes so long to open them with a lightsaber. It's like the poncho. Just too many layers. What's more thick, Mandalorian armor or Cal, or with a bunch of ponchos? Anyway,
I mean
yeah.
that's just his body armor.
Yeah, that's what.
But I guess in the way of cosmetics, yeah, I was not a fan of the ponchos. I did, like on my initial run through on the Xbox, get all of them. And
Yeah.
hell, even on my most recent run through on PC, I got all but 2. I think it's because I was mostly looking for the lightsaber parts, and I just
Yeah.
ended up running across them.
That is a part that I do like. Well, you don't have much customization in Cal. I mean, when you get New Game Plus, you get like the Inquisitor outfit, but that's just one outfit.
It's a cool outfit.
It's a cool outfit. I've played through all of New Game Plus with that. You do get a ton of customization with your lightsaber, and that's super.
And different,
cool. Yeah.
different combos too.
Yeah,
So sick.
it's actually really fun. You could on my first one, I tried to since I like going with the classic blue. I tried to make my lightsaber look a lot like Obi-Wan Kenobi's because I'm a nerd. But when I did New Game Plus and I had the Inquisitor, I kind of made a completely different design that started with an all black one, then turned to an all white so it would stand out, and then made it a purple saber. And there's so many different like little details you can mess with this for something you really don't even see that often. Like because Cal's swinging it so fast. But yeah, I do kind of wish that level of detail went to the rest of Cal. I mean, you can customize BD and you can customize the ship, which is cool. But yeah, I would love more
Hey,
outfits.
this one looks like Boba Fett.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I would
I
love
don't,
like
but like also the lightsaber crystal colors, man. Yeah, I
Yeah.
love it. They put in
That was
cyan,
really
my
fun.
favorite color.
Oh yeah, I
Like,
used.
Oh my god.
That's the one I use mostly. I think the cyan is my favorite lightsaber color, even though purple's my favorite color. I don't know. I just feel every time I see like someone like they give you lightsaber customization, everyone gets the purple one, and I'm just like, nah, I'll go cyan.
everyone wants to be
I
sad.
kind of
Gotta get that Mace Windu one.
Yeah. Robert, what color what's your go-to color in the game? Or just lightsabers?
Green, because green's my favorite color.
Fair enough. I mean, I go
Man, so you're
with,
just the whole game.
I am a man of simple tastes.
yeah, that's fine. I mean, I go with like the standard blue because that's my favorite shade of blue. So I mean, I think I might be more basic, but no, I love it. That's a really fun.
Yeah, green is what I used until you unlock cyan. So
Yeah.
Did you guys hear also that like I think they're right about this, but apparently like based on which color you pick, the lightsaber hum is different, and it's usually based on like the film depiction of like where it was seen. Like the purple one sounds a bit like Mace Windu's, and like the blue one sounds a bit like Anakin's, and so on and so forth.
Huh.
that is, yeah, that's accurate. It has a slightly different tone to it. It's something you wouldn't really notice unless you played them all back to back to back in quick succession.
I mean, that's still like a cool, really little detail. Yet we couldn't get a Jedi robes costume for the man. Like, nah.
Nope.
Just Inquisitors, his outfit
That's
was
why
out.
you get it on PC. You can
Yeah.
put them in robes. So
God,
Or if you're playing those
I'm-
quick segments as Little Cal.
man, I have
well,
to say,
no, they
like,
did end up eventually porting in robes from Battlefront 2, so they fit a lot better. But I know early mods had it to where it's just young Cal's pretty much robes stretched over normal Cal, and he has a long neck and crap. It wasn't the best.
Oh, that's
Long
Those were the
Cal.
dark times.
Yeah. Oh, that's
Man, I just love the attention to detail. Like Respawn is just like better Naughty Dog. I love that.
Yeah.
I love them so much.
Fair. All right. Well, before we get to the future of this game, I do want to talk about probably my favorite sequence, and we referenced this a little bit in Kenobi, but I don't know if anyone would disagree with me where the best sequence is after you beat the final boss, and a certain character shows back up and just totally wrecks everyone's stuff. That's when
Yeah,
Darth
the
Vader
mechanic
shows up.
cleaning
Really
from
terrifying.
Mandalorian, right?
Yeah, that scene is amazing. We're at the very end of this like Dark Souls like action like role playing game. It turns into a horror game where you, and it really does just show you like the difference between like Cal, who is this like a Padawan, who finally grew to a knight, who met the most at the end met the most powerful person in the galaxy, and then just got his fate ran, and he just lost. Like he's barely survived.
You actually okay. I'm sorry. I'm not gonna say he lost because you actually have to fight him in order for it to count as a loss. He just booked it. Cal did the smart thing. He saw that man. He's like, nope, I don't want anything to do with this thing. I'm getting out of here.
He ran, and Darth Vader, who's just nonchalantly just taking an evening stroll
Way to
at you,
spoil it.
is just
Bro, I've already been saying Trilla and freaking Seer. Like,
We're-
Yeah, I mean,
it's
it's not too much of a spoiler to
We're
be like,
50
yeah,
minutes into this
that's,
podcast.
those
If
are
they're
canon.
not if they don't know the game,
for like a 3-year-old game. Like, if
Yeah.
you don't know what we're talking about, then why are you listening to this?
Also, there's not honestly, I feel like most people probably could have looked forward. It's like, okay, this time period. Darth Vader is gonna show up at some point, but it's such a cool way of him doing it. And it was like this in Kenobi 2, where the first time he's and also almost forgot Rogue One, where you really see him as like, this is the most terrifying thing in the galaxy. He's just
Oh yeah.
leisurely strolling by. He's wrecking the entire place just with like one hand. At one point, you only beat him because the best character, BD1, kind of attacks him at his
Life support system.
Yeah, life support. BD1 cuts the air off to a dude with asthma, and then even like when you break the ship and it's underwater, so all this water's rushing in, he's just holding it back. Like the full pressure of the ocean, he's just pushing it back with the force.
What a mad lad.
Yeah, and it's such a cool sequence, and it's such a worthwhile thing at the end. I remember like after when you first see him, you always get a scan of enemies, and then if you look at him, it's just Darth Vader, run. Like the most fearsome thing in the galaxy. Don't try to fight him. You're gonna lose. It's such a cool moment. It's just a really it's a thing like you really didn't need that at the end of the game. It would have still been good. It would have still been great at the end. But it's such just a love letter to Star Wars fans and to this character. So I really like that moment.
It is a really cool sequence. I do enjoy that. As a game that really held back on trying to be fan servicey, it did give some of the best fan service right at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was really good on that. Other than
Indeed.
sorry. Other than that moment, is there any other really standout moments from this game for you guys? Whether it's with a boss or with a big cinematic sequence, or I know we already talked about where Cal's lightsaber breaks. But are there any other moments from this game that you guys can distinctly remember, or even kind of?
I
remember
hope I get this right. I really like the last part of I believe it's the Seventh Sister fight, the big one. I'm sorry,
yeah.
I don't know that area because
Big one.
Big one.
just when you think that what is it? I don't know if it's midway or not, but Cal cuts off her hand, and it's okay, it's surely that's it. It's like this is nothing. I'm still gonna mess you up, and then I don't know, for a character that has very little screen time, I think she solidified herself as she's awesome just because of how messed up, and it kind of reinforces just how broken these Inquisitors are, because she's it's me losing a hand is nothing. I've been tortured by Vader and all of his cronies. Whatever you can do to me doesn't hurt me.
This is Star Wars. You're not a character unless you lose a hand.
So that part
No,
was
main
awesome.
character.
Yeah.
I really liked her.
She actually probably enjoyed getting her hand cut off. She thought it meant she was a main character after that.
Yeah, she was.
But that
That was
boss
definitely
fight,
something.
yeah, that boss fight was actually really fun to play through. Robert, did you say I think you started saying something. Did you have a moment?
Yeah, I could just. Yeah, what I remember is it's after Cal gets captured, you're in this arena, you have to fight things. The game soft locked on me, so I had to do it again.
Damn. Referino.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I do
I was
like
just
the,
standing there where am I going in the arena? What do I have to do?
Yeah.
Nothing was happening.
they
I
just
was like,
didn't
"Oh, it's
spawn
just
the
restart."
enemy for you to progress.
Yeah.
I think I remember
Yeah.
something similar happening to me when I first played it too. I was
I'd say some of my favorite moments is I do really enjoy all the little chats when when you're leaving a planet and stuff like that they have little chats between your crew. It makes them feel like actual people, because you could just select a map or whatever planet you're going, and then it just cuts to the ship flying through the through space and you don't have like any dialogue, and that's just like your loading screen
Yeah.
or whatever. So I really enjoyed those little chats, and then I also really enjoyed every fight you have with the second sister, um, leading up to the final boss battle, was really fun. Just like you slowly learn more about her at each fight, and each fight she has more and more moves.
Oh,
and so
yeah.
it's really fun.
Her as the final boss was really challenging for me, but it was like a really fun fight to learn.
Yeah. Because it kind of felt like it was a fight that, like, yeah, you'd technically done before, so it didn't feel like completely new. It was still a bit familiar, but like much harder. Like, it's like this
Yeah.
is her not holding back.
Like she had like a lot better punishes. Some of her moves might have been a little harder to like be telegraphed or just cover like a larger range.
We'll say screw that freaking probe droid. Like,
Yes,
Yeah.
oh my
it did
god.
not need to be in the fight, but whatever.
Ugh.
I
It
remember,
it felt kind of tacked on just to make it a little harder.
yeah. Honestly, every
whatever.
time I just pulled it. I always just saved enough force. I pulled it towards me and just like BD control it, take care of it.
Yeah. Every time you do that, though, she just instantly takes it out with one saber throw.
Yeah,
like,
so it's like, what
annoying.
was even the point of that thing?
yeah.
I really.
Another boss fight that I really enjoyed, just like the mechanics of. I don't know if I cared as much about his story. Was Terran Malicos.
That is a cool fight.
Yeah.
Like,
This is a
even though
dope
he's,
fight.
like,
I hate the run to the boss fight because you have to dodge past two troops and then shimmy through a stupid freaking crack in the wall
And you're like,
before
I
you
don't
actually
wanna-
get to the arena.
I was like, don't hit
They
me.
could
I
have just
don't want to
literally
waste
put
the
the chair
stem.
half. But whatever.
Yeah, I agree with that. But yeah, it's a super cool fight because then also, you know, your goth girlfriend is helping you out do it too, and it's a really fun thing. Also, I do want to. There's something that I noticed when I first played through it because I also struggled against Trilla at the very end, and something that I found really interesting. And I don't know if this is on purpose or if this is just coincidence, but ironically, the best like tactic against her is the very first force move that you get, which is freeze. Like that's the only thing that like you pretty much get at like the start of the game, right? Is when you start is this move to freeze, and that works really well because push doesn't really do much on her, and pull almost kind of hurts you if you try to use it. And a lot of your other force abilities, like she'll either slap away or block it really well, but freeze actually is probably like your best bet against her, which it's your base move, so it's like you're going back to the very start of the game. But that said, kind of one of the reasons that like we started interested in this game again was because it was recently announced its sequel coming out, Jedi Survivor, which we haven't seen a lot of. You know, there hasn't been a gameplay trailer. of it
One
yet.
teaser trailer.
Yeah, one teaser trailer. It doesn't really tell us much. It's something about the story. The only thing confirmed is that Bidu one's back, so I've already pre-ordered it. Of course. But I guess kind of like, and we've talked about it a little bit, but like, what are your guys' like hopes for this game? What is like the one thing like you really want them to change? And I'll start with Robert just because we haven't heard from you in a minute.
I would. Okay, this is a quality of life thing. I don't know why they didn't include. Is a fast travel system. Please, if they're gonna have like collectibles all around the planets, it would be really nice to be able to travel between checkpoints and just make it more convenient. The second is maybe like get the gameplay to be a little tighter, because I feel like the wind up for like the parry kind of threw me off a bit. Granted, I was coming off Sekiro, where you hit left bumper and he's already like readying his katana, but there's like a bit of like a lead up for Cal doing it. So maybe like you make the animation a little snappier as like a way. It's like he's gotten more like adept at fighting, so he's going to be able to like, you know, draw his lightsaber in a defensive stance more quickly or something. Those are like my two big things, really.
Okay. No, that's good. I also agree with that. Like, yeah, because I think it makes sense of why it's not instant in this one. But yeah, I mean, in the next one, he'll be essentially hopefully powered up. So like, it makes sense for him to be snappier.
As a result, like maybe make the combat like now that he's starting to get more powerful, make the combat a little bit more aggressive, a little bit more fast paced, kind of like. Oh God, I don't know why I'm thinking of this first. Doom Eternal.
I know. I mean, it's a
Interesting.
I see what you mean. From Doom 2016 to Doom Eternal, how it got faster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because just to quickly throw it out there, like Doom Eternal like picked up the speed on its combat as well, but what it also emphasizes like using certain tactics to exploit enemy weaknesses to take them out quicker. So like something like in Jedi Fallen Order, it's just like you're going faster, and it's just because you're doing like rock paper scissors. Here's your weakness, bam, you're dead. Like something like that.
Also, give Cal a double barrel shotgun and a grappling hook, just like Doom Eternal.
I mean, I wouldn't be opposed.
All right, but so other than just snappier combat, is there anything else that you would like to see?
What I would like to see, I mean. This is gonna sound very simpish,
Gosh.
but I just trust Respawn Entertainment. I don't know if I really want to put too much on this. Like, you guys know what you're doing when you make games. Like, you gave us a really one of the best FPS campaigns with Titanfall 2.
Yep.
You regularly deliver on like really good games. Like even Apex Legends is good. Granted, it's not my cup of tea, but hey, it's still doing really well, and I can't fault them for that. Even though it feels like it gets in the way of Titanfall 3, and Jedi Fallen Order exceeded my expectations. They delivered a really good single player focused story that it does my favorite thing in the world, which is actually making the gameplay work with the story it's telling.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know, Naughty Dog, you can learn a few lessons. But I have faith in them. If there's a couple things I am excited by the trailer that I do hope to see more of, is it does seem like that one shot of the trailer shows I think an Inquisitor, maybe the Grand Inquisitor, at some sort of city area. It would be nice to see Cal and the crew visit more city type Star Wars areas, explore places like Nar Shaddaa or something like that. I think that would be neat.
Maybe a Coruscant.
Yeah. Because Jedi Fallen Order, the first one, felt like you were in, and I like the vibe of it in general. It felt very isolated, where you're more on the outer rim, I enjoyed that.
Yeah.
But it would be cool to switch it up with this game, and also this little mysterious character in the back of the tank. I do like the idea that I don't think this is a confirmation. This is just a theory, but I would like to see two playable characters, Cal and this other person, whoever's in the back of the tank.
I can see
That could be interesting.
And have two very different play styles, where Cal plays very similarly to how he is in Jedi Fallen Order. He's very cautious and stuff like that. And maybe when you switch to this character, I'm just going to assume he's more aggressive because he's stuck in a back to tank and he's been there for a while. So maybe he's a bit of a wild card. So maybe he's more aggressive and he is more akin to a Star Killer, That's it. That's all I really hope for.
Cal's playing Dark Souls while this new character is just playing Metal Gear Rising Revengeance.
I could be
there's not even a block button, it's just a parry. And yeah, it just keeps swinging. But Randy, what are your hopes for Survivor?
I think some of my hopes are expanding more, obviously, on combat. I was fine with how snappy it was. I mean, sure, a little bit of refinement would be nice, but adding maybe some new systems, because I know at the end we end up with a two lightsabers, or it's a double-sided lightsaber that become detached, but you can't stay in that stance.
Yeah.
Interestingly enough, from the trailer though, you see the lightsaber roll on the ground when he drops his lightsaber, and it's just a single-bladed. So I hope we don't have to go through and be all right, you have a single-bladed again. Now unlock the double-bladed.
Yeah.
Now unlock the stance switch. We have two. I hope we don't have to do that again. I'd almost be okay if they're just like, he had two because his master had two, and like kind of combining, his old master, his new master, seer together. That's why he had two. But now he's like, okay, cool. I feel like, I'm a Jedi Knight now. I'm gonna do my own thing, and he just decides to do a single lightsaber, which I'd be fine with as long as the combat is quite expansive with what they do with that.
Yeah. But I agree with what you said, and that was something I was going to bring up. Is like, my biggest hope if they don't do what happens in a lot of like Metroid games is they have to depower the character you just finished in the last game building up. Like, cause in every Metroid game, Samus like gets shot down and loses every power up or every quirk she had, and she's now just stuck with her basic beam. And I really hope that doesn't happen again, where you start the game and Cal gets hit in the head and is like, I have amnesia. I forgot every force power in the world. It's like, what? No, like...
Yeah, that'd be super frustrating.
I'm about to say he has to have, like, everything from his previous skill tree, but it's like, don't...
Even if it's just basic push, basic pull, basic freeze,
yeah,
and basic
and
Jedi flip.
Yeah, and a double... Yeah, I don't need anything more than that. But don't make me...
hook.
Don't make me go through the same character... the same like character progression I just finished doing, and also the other thing that like I really want, and it's really the stuff we've already talked about. It's really quality of life things, a better map. Like we really don't need to be using that.
Give me boring.
I don't care. Do what like Seth said. Do what Doom Eternal did. Doom Eternal has the best map in all of video games. It's amazing. That
everything you need to know right there.
Yeah, icons are very identifiable. It's super easy to find. It's great. But what you can expand on, if not the map, cosmetics. Like that's the now with the lightsaber. Keep the lightsaber the same, or go expand it. But go, we can have more than just a poncho. Let him have classic Jedi robes. Let him. Let me decide. Like, do I want him to have gloves? Not wear gloves.
Stormtrooper disguise. That would be
No.
Every version of Star Wars has to have a stormtrooper disguise. We're just doing the Rebels approach.
Friggin' Battlefront 2 all over again. Stormtroopers that leave the Empire to then come back and dress up as stormtroopers.
Or we could just do Rebels in every episode. It's like, how do we sneak into this base that we've always snuck into? How we always sneak into it. We're going to kill a couple of guys and then steal the outfits. Ezra literally has a color.
Trope. Yes, it is.
Yeah.
But I want that outfit, damn it.
Honestly, yeah, no, so do I. Because I honestly...
Just get it on PC, mod it. Problem solved.
But I want
that's fair, Randy, but like... We're talking about Jedi Survivor.
Yeah.
I'm sure the mod will be there too on PC.
I
want it in the game.
Yeah, I was gonna say I want it in the game. I almost want what Force Unleashed had, where like after you beat the game, and maybe even before, but like you could just change your character model to like whoever. Like you could just play as Boba Fett and no one cares. Like because lightning shooting out. Now that one might be a bit harder with like a AAA game, so I understand if they don't go like that extreme. But like have more than just no ponchos, and then when you beat the game, one outfit. Like
and like you can change the base.
Like a Trilla skin or something.
Yeah.
That would be cool. Like you can change the base under like outfit, but even then I think there's only like 4 variations. You have like pilot, your standard scrapper that's blue, you have outlaw that's dark. I think Outcast is what it is for the light one. Here, let me look actually.
It's just
because I'm actually been playing the game on easy right now, just kind of as we're talking. Guardian is kind of the light tan one, and I don't remember what the other one is. There's 5.
Yeah.
And the other one I don't have unlocked at the moment.
I think this is a really good game, Fallen Order. I really enjoy it. I just want it to get. Honestly, my biggest thing, I just want more. I want more of it. I want more cosmetic, more force powers. Like Randy said, more different stances with the lightsabers. I think it might be a cool idea, and this might be a little too hard to do or a little bit too expansive, but like, what if there were a bit more of a skill tree where if, you could actually choose between, stance 4, which is defense, or stance whatever, which is more offense, and it's actually almost like a Sekiro thing. I don't know if that would work for it, but that's just an idea.
I'd be fine.
Yeah.
I'd be fine if they keep like the single blade, but then they delve more into combat, something like Sekiro, to where you do have those stance changes that give you, this is your defense stance, this is your light offense stance, and this is your heavy attack offense stance, something like that.
I'm gonna put my finger to my nerd glasses and push them up. Actually, you guys aren't thinking of Sekiro, you're thinking of Ghost of Tsushima. That's the game that had like the stance changes.
My bad.
So,
but still,
okay. Also,
you get the idea.
That system would be cool, though. I agree. In Jedi Fallen Order, having different stances for different enemy types and different fighting styles, something like here's a stance that's quick attacks, but you're more vulnerable, or stronger attacks, but you're more vulnerable.
And
Sorry, I'm not that creative.
And it's not like Star Wars doesn't have whole books about this type of thing. No, you can. There's plenty of.
People want to cosplay Kenobi. They just watched the dang show. They want to do his I don't know what it's called because I'm not that big of a nerd. But his stance.
Risu, I believe. Yeah, I'm the big nerd.
Yeah,
I got this dumbass tattoo with fucking Arabesh on my arm. I'm the nerd.
Points the 2 fingers and brings the blade coast to his head. That's the Kenobi stance. I want to do that as Cal, and not just.
I mean, maybe not exactly like that. I'm sure they'd be like, "Oh, he's doing the Kenobi thing." I don't know. Some people might want to be like, "That's Kenobi's thing," but
I mean, that's fine. I'm gonna call Kenobi's thing, and I'm gonna be like, "Yeah, it is Kenobi's thing, and it's awesome."
Not that's like saying "Oh, Bruce Lee invented kung fu." It's just come on, dude.
It's like, "Oh, he's doing the Bruce Lee thing because he's kicking someone." That's not.
That's everyone.
Yeah.
You freaking idiot.
Oh yeah, I was right. Form 3, Surisu. Or Sarusu. Yeah.
There you go. Okay.
Anyway.
Okay. So we've talked a lot about this. Yeah, and I guess I'll ask this, and we don't have to go super in depth with it, but just while we're on the topic of Star Wars games, do you guys, other than Fallen Order, do you guys have a kind of favorite Star Wars game? That's it doesn't have to be similar to it, but just in general. I'll start with
a little nostalgia trip.
Seth. I know the one that I think you really want to talk about because I think you've wanted to talk about this game for a while. So what are you thinking about?
All right, I guess I'm going first. I'm gonna sort of cheat in second one, but they kind of go to the Knights of the Old Republic series. I think these are not only some of the best. I think these are the best Star Wars games. Not only do I think that, I think they're some of the best games ever made. Period. Sorry. Actually, I need a second to think this over again before I talk anymore. I'm sort of blanking. Can we go to someone else for a minute?
We'll come back to you.
Let me get my notes together.
All right, ready. Do you got a game?
Probably. I think my favorite is Lego Star Wars, the complete trilogy. Yeah. I played that an insane amount, and I just finished my initial run through of Lego Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga, which still has a lot of those notes that the complete trilogy did. I'm not quite sure if I like it more. I've had less time to play the game recently because I just started a job, so it's just I haven't been able to just sit down and binge it like when I was a kid, when I could with Lego Star Wars, which is, it's a huge collect game. Either of them are. Yeah. But I'd say, that's probably my favorite is either the complete saga or the Skywalker Saga.
Yeah, I agree. The Skywalker Saga is it's been really fun. I literally just finished the last episode today. It's super funny. I honestly think probably my favorite part of playing through might have actually been the sequels, just because there's so many jokes about it and it's very tongue-in-cheek. And just little references, like you can put the game into mumble mode, like how the original Complete series was. There's just a lot of love and attention into this, which so yeah, I've really liked that one, and the Complete series is just that is our childhood. But I'm actually gonna go for my pick even further back than Randy, and some people might think like, oh, you might talk about like Battlefront or Battlefront 2. Now I'm gonna actually go even further back. No, Seth, I'm gonna go even further back than that. Yeah, retract that. Yeah, which is, and Randy might be the only one who knows what I'm talking about. But before those games, the same developers made, and it was a direct like movie game. It was just called Star Wars: The Clone Wars for the original Xbox, like the OG Xbox.
Yeah.
Me and Rick, there you go. Now you can, yeah. And this was kind of like the proto Battlefront, but it was essentially only vehicles. You know, there were different walkers and there were different speeder like tanks that you could use. And me and Randy and a lot of my other cousins and a lot of my friends when they came over, we played the hell out of this game. It was so much fun. It was so simple.
We ended up actually playing it last time I visited.
Yeah.
Your house in May.
And it was
awesome.
And it was still so much fun. I don't know if it's just nostalgia, but it's still a blast.
Do you have like a favorite vehicle that was in that game? Like, what was your favorite one to use?
I can't remember the exact name, but it's not the main one. It was like the main droid tank, and I'm about to look it up. But it was that yellow one with the 4 wheels. Just because it was. It was.
No, I know what you're talking about.
It was like the main one, but it was slightly faster. And I can't remember the names because it wasn't a popular thing, and I don't even remember if it showed up later. But I even really liked using the. I'm actually looking up Star Wars tanks right now just to see if I can find the names.
I feel like we need to consult Randy on this one.
Yeah.
Nah, I mean, I'd be doing the same thing he's doing, looking it up. I'm terrible with like tank codes, other than
like it's not. It wouldn't be like
the classic, ATST and AT-AT.
Fair.
Oh no.
No, that game I've never played it, but like I've heard so many good things, and it makes me want to visit. I did watch like a short long play a little bit on it, and there is one section that you are on foot, I believe, where you're
there's
Mace Windu.
Yeah, there's multiple. So at the very start of the wait, did I find it? I'll come back. But it's called the one I was thinking of is a CIS unit. It's like the main droid one, and then I wonder if I can find the other one. Oh yeah, so the standard one is a TX-130. So again, like not names that you remember. But so there's at the very start of the game, you are on foot as Mace Windu, and at a later point, you play on foot as Anakin. But he's Clone Wars Anakin, where he still has the Padawan ponytail. And there's one point where you're even like on like a this kind of like creature. It looks a lot like it looks like a tauntaun, but it's from the Wookiee planet, so they call it something else. Anyway, but also like when you are a person, it's still tank controls, so it's very awkward playing as the person. It's not
that's funny.
It's not good. It's very funny looking, but it's not that. Yeah, and your like special bone, which for faster vehicles is your boost, and for the actual tanks, it's like an extra cannon. For the person, it's like a force push. But I have so many good memories with this game. Like it was really fun.
That's awesome.
We played a lot of it. I still own it. Like in my new place, I have the original Xbox, and I only recently went back and finished the main story. Nowadays, it's not the best. It doesn't have a million features, but for the time, it was really fun. And there's even a couple levels where you're like, not anything in space, but like you're an actual ship. So it just, I love that game. That'll probably always be, just for nostalgia reasons, my favorite Star Wars game.
It reminds me in a lot of ways of like another like really fun one. I don't think it was as good as most people were like remember it, but there was a game called, I don't know if you heard of this, called Rogue Squadron. I believe it might have been only for the GameCube.
Yes,
but like
Yeah, that was. I know what you're talking about. I think I rented that at one point in time, like when I was a kid.
I remember really
I never
enjoying
finished it,
at
but-
my nephew's place, but it was. I also don't remember if it was that good. I just remember like having a lot of fun because there were like kind of like it was very arcadey and it had sequences where it's like, oh yeah, you're in like a snow speeder and you're supposed to take down the AT-ATs. It's like that's cool.
Yeah.
I don't remember if it was actually good or not. I just remember that. That's all.
That's fine. Well, how about Robert? What is your kind of favorite Star Wars game?
I think like my favorite that I played as like a kid was Battlefront 2,
Yeah.
but I didn't have a PS2 or original Xbox, so the only way I could play it was on the PSP. And going back to it nowadays, I don't think I could do it, but as like a kid, that was just really fun for me just because that was like my first real like shooter game.
Yeah.
Because as a Nintendo kid, there weren't a ton of shooters to play on that.
Mm-hmm.
But another game that I just remember thinking about recently is Star Wars Episode 3 Revenge of the Sith for the DS. I remember that one being kind of fun. It's like a kind of simple like beat 'em up. Some of the boss fights were like kind of like these little lightsaber duels. Then there are these like weird like 3D flying sections where you get to like pilot like one of like Anakin or Obi-Wan's like starfighters
Yeah.
and go through a Coruscant. I don't know why. I just had like a lot of fun in that game as a kid, but I don't think I would enjoy it as much like as like a 24-year-old. But
No, that's fine. Those are always.
I feel like looking back, like I remember like I've got there was a lot like I think a year or so ago I did watch like a compilation of like these are all the Battlefront games, including all the spin-offs that were on like the PSP and like the Nintendo DS and stuff like that. And honestly, the PSP game didn't look that bad for its time.
yeah,
Like it did look kind of fun.
I think it was Elite Squadron or something that was like a PSP exclusive. But that one was like it had its own like big campaign and everything. Oh, it's like big, but it had its own like campaign and everything for it. And I think it was like you could only play in third person. You couldn't do first person. But I remember that one being pretty fun too.
Yeah. Nah, I didn't play that, but on your first pick with the original Battlefront, I remember there were times when like we would have a friend come over, like bring over his Xbox and his copy of like because it's backwards compatible of like original Battlefront 2, and that game definitely still holds up. It's a little janky, but it's still fun. There's a lot of like unique characters. Ventress is in that game. Instead of like a 2 lightsaber, she almost has this kind of like nunchuck lightsaber thing. That game is
That
just,
sounds like impractically cool.
oh, it was, and it was super fun. That game is such a good like get your friends together and play that. The newer ones they're not terrible, especially over time. They've gotten better. I remember me and Randy played a lot of the co-op on the second Battlefront 2, the newer one.
The 2017 one, yeah.
Yeah.
Man, at that game, I really love how that game turned out in the end. But man, I really wish they would have kept supporting it instead of going to the new Battlefield game.
Why?
That then failed anyway.
Yeah. Why they never added, and I know you can do it with mods before Randy says it, why they never added Clone Wars, like a large Clone Wars content with like, yeah, they add Anakin and Obi-Wan, which I loved because Obi-Wan's my favorite to play, but like, why you never add Ahsoka or Bane or Ventress or like all these different, like there's so much content for that game and it wouldn't even be that hard. I can't imagine that'd be hard.
What's even worse is like
That was
It's-
the plan, actually.
yeah, They were gonna add, I believe, Ventress and Ahsoka.
Yeah.
They were still planning on updating, like before they got taken off to work on what we now know as Battlefield 2042. A lot of the people were like, they were very focused of like, oh yeah, we're gonna be able to add in like all these characters like Ahsoka, Ventress. I believe they even wanted to do things with like some of the other clones and like the named ones. Sorry, I can't think of their names because I'm a terrible person.
Rex and
like Cody and Rex.
Yeah. Fives and watch Clone Wars.
And
Dang
also,
it, Seth. Sorry.
And like it's a shame because like Battlefront 2 is like it definitely deserves some of the flack it got, but I think with all the consistent updates and the way they turned that game around, it did become one of the best Star Wars games to play, and it still looks amazing today. And it's such a shame that like it hasn't had the chance to add more content, especially with like the recent stuff that like we've gotten now with Star Wars. Like, could you imagine they added in like Bad Batch skins for like Republic Commando, like or adding in Mando as a playable character or something like that. Like, there's so much more they could add to this game now, and it sucks that like EA was like, no, let's not continue to support Star Wars, which is like a guaranteed moneymaker. Let's like rush out a Battlefield game and make that like just a mess.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, I mean, no, you're completely right, and like, it's such a gold mine, and especially like that game is such a good comeback story of like it started, and when it came out, it was terrible. It wasn't fun. It was very pay to win. It was frustrating. Servers barely worked, but I mean, honestly, that's how all EA games work, and still are. So it's such a good comeback story, like seeing the state of the game at the end. And yeah, it is kind of a shame that like they just stopped. But so I'm assuming, have you got your notes together before I ask you this question?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I wanted to get this together because this is about to be a big freaking moment. I'm about to hijack this whole podcast. I
feel like this has to be a separate podcast, but I'll let you do your spiel.
Yeah. My favorite Star Wars game from like my childhood was Knights of the Republic. Knights of the Republic 1 and 2 specifically. Those I imagine that like a lot of people have like already heard about those as like some of the best Star Wars games. I believe that they're not only some of the best Star Wars games, I believe they're some of the best games like period out there. The gameplay, the world building, the story, the characters, I love it so friggin' much. It's one of like my favorites. Whenever I was first getting into gaming, I thought of it as a lot of like, Mario, Sonic, kind of stuff like that. Knights of the Republic was like one of the first RPGs I ever played, and I sucked at it. I was stuck on like Terrace, like the first planet, for like years before I advanced, like a good 2 years. But what it taught me is that like games can be more than just like, they're more than just like arcade machines at like Pizza Hut or something. Like they can actually tell stories, really good gripping stories. And what I love about Knights of the Republic 1 and 2 is how different they both play, very similarly, but different like kind of tones about Star Wars. Knights of the Republic 1 is about building up the mythos and like all the stuff about Star Wars. It's basically like, this is the greatest hits of why Star Wars is great. You have betrayals, you have friends and family, you have like you have like force powers, like all the classic stuff with like Star Wars, and it's great, and it celebrates it, and it makes you live out your own like Star Wars feature film in a sense, where you get to make choices and impact the story, and that was awesome. Knights of the Republic 2, if Knights of the Republic 1 is a celebration of all things Star Wars, Knights of the Republic 2 is, I would argue, a loving deconstruction of Star Wars. And it's like, oh God, I love it. It's basically taken all the concepts about the Force and stuff like that and talk about, it's like, this is actually kind of messed up. It kind of like messes with, it really starts to dig into the idea of like the Force and fatalism, and it's just like, are people just fated to be like good, bad, dark side, and we're all at the mercy of this like unknowing, like conscious thing, this Force? And I can't do it service, but like it's so good. The villains in that is spectacular. I'm sorry, I gushed so much about it, but like Knights of the Republic is it's an amazing like game. I really recommend people to go back and play it. I understand that the gameplay is certainly dated by today's standards. It's not the most flashy. I think it's really good for people who are into like D&D style rules, where a lot of it is like stats and roll checks and stuff like that. I'm personally into that. I understand that like other people aren't. And I'm personally excited, and I hope they do it justice, this remake of Knights of the Republic, because I really hope that it's the game that like reactivates Knights of the Old Republic in like the public zeitgeist, where like people are like, remember why this stuff is awesome, because it fleshes out Star Wars in a way that's like still feels like Star Wars, but also feels fresh because it's set like thousands of years before the films. So, yeah, I'm sorry. I think I just like unloaded everything I had there, and I still. Well, that's a lie. I have way more, but I don't want to take up too much time.
Yeah, you're good. That's definitely.
I mean, I'll be honest. That'll probably be the first time I play through the game. Is probably on the remake, and
Good.
So I expect that we will probably do a podcast when that eventually comes out. I know it's not coming out for quite a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably like 2023 or 2024. But
I'm
like
expecting 24, but yeah.
Randy, I have to ask: Do you know about the game's first like sort of twist? Because like
No, I don't. I don't know anything too much
okay.
about the game. Like, I think I know like the big end twist, but I don't think I know like some of the smaller ones.
That's one of the benefits of this being an older game, is people may not know about it. If you're planning on, to anyone listening and to my fellow podcasters here, that's a weird way of putting it. If you are interested in playing Knights of the Old Republic, do not look up its story. Do not. It has one of the best twists, I think, in like all of like gaming. Like I love this twist. It's so freaking good. So whenever I played it and I got to that twist when I was like 8 or something, it blew my little brain wide open, and nothing has really lived up to it since. So I'm super pumped just for this to come out and people get to that twist.
Yeah. The only thing I know about KOTOR is what Seth has told me about like, and I've seen some stuff online. And so I have a very butched understanding of that game because I only know the funny parts of it. But I do understand that like it's a lot of people really love, Seth included, love this game. So yeah, that's honestly all I can say about it. Maybe I'll check out the remake if I can actually get a system that's on, but
I will buy you a friggin' PS5 if I have to.
Is that
to get you to play KOTOR?
I'm gonna make sure I save this little moment right here because I'm gonna need that recording later in life.
Yeah.
Or hey, if
Drew's
you end
like,
up building a
my
PC,
birthday coming up.
Yeah, eventually.
Drew's like,
it just happened. Rip.
I imagine this is such a weird thing, but I imagine Drew's like, if you've seen that clip from like the Harley Quinn show where like Joker's talking to Bruce or whatever, and he's just like, hey, "Where's my guy dang the electric car, Bruce?" I imagine Drew's gonna come up to, he's like, "It's my birthday, Seth. Where's my goddamn PS5?
Where's my PS5? And you're gonna be like, "What do you?" I'm not gonna bring it up until then. You're gonna be like, "What are you talking about?" And I'm just gonna like have this recording on my phone. I was like, "Remember it? I got the receipts." Give me my receipts. Yeah, Seth's giving me a PS5. Randy's going to buy me a PC. Robert, what are you getting
I'm not
me?
buying you a PC.
No, I mean,
said
thanks
I'd help
for it. You
build
really
a
want me
PC.
to have PC, so I appreciate it. Randy. Robert, what are you getting me?
Guilty Gear.
Fair, I'll take that. That's actually a really good. You pretty much already get it.
PS5 costs $500, man. Not to mention, like, your controller's probably gonna break and you're gonna need to replace that.
Yeah, but do you know how much fighting games cost when you add in season passes and all that crap?
Yeah.
Yeah, you could just get him the standard edition. You don't need to get him the friggin' like. Wait, yeah, you do get him the ultimate edition. It's probably only going to be like 100. That's a fourth of like. No, like I'm bad at math.
Guys,
That's
I
why
think
I'm a
this-
communications
I think
major.
this is my favorite podcast. I'm getting so many things.
Like I said, I'll help you build one. I'm not buying you a PC.
This is
Shit's expensive.
is this my thanks for putting you guys on my podcast? You guys just give me
Yeah.
better.
Hey, I'm still gonna help you build one. So I mean, like, if you're ever like I don't know, dude, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what components to like select. You know, what's gonna work together, that sort of shit. I got you.
Brandy's
figure
gonna
it out.
teach your head at TurboTax like no other.
Hell yeah.
The day I text Randy,
Yeah.
hey, I think
I submit my taxes so fast.
yeah.
What that SSD's for?
Exactly.
You know, this is the last thing I thought the Star Wars podcast would divulge into. Our taxes, really quality entertainment, guys.
Robert, what's your speed run time on taxes? Any percent?
Oh my god.
I don't know, 15 minutes. We went to what was it? Someone else did my taxes for me. I don't remember where he went. Fuck.
Wow. He used the
remember who
someone
did it.
else did it for me glitch.
I realized that technically any percent speed run for your taxes is probably not a good idea.
Probably not.
God, okay. We're gonna
Alright,
divulge
real
off
fast.
taxes for.
I just want to say that this is from the members of the Fresh podcast, is we do condone tax evasion.
Yes, very much.
Speak
Yeah,
for
no.
yourself.
Yeah.
I don't know. Screw the government.
This we're trying to get
my
sponsorship for
money.
this podcast. One sponsorship we don't have is the government. So
Exactly.
unless FBI
Toss
agents,
the
I know you're
ball.
listening.
It'd be funny if like this podcast ever does get one, but it's actually for TurboTax because they're like, please don't do tax evasion.
Dude,
Use
don't-
TurboTax.
Me and Robert had this kind of. I can segue to any sponsorship. All right. Speaking of segues, now that we're towards the end of the podcast, and since we already did we gave a little bit of recommendations with our favorite Star Wars games. So if you don't have a fresh pick this week, don't worry about it. We already gave plenty of recommendations. But does anyone have either a fresh pick of the week or just a rotten pick, just something that was just awful? We'll start with Robert.
Danganronpa. No, okay. So I said that was a joke, but
That would have been funny if you
Yeah.
just
I was,
stopped. I would have
yeah.
died laughing if you just stopped talking
I would-
after just saying Danganronpa.
that's it. That's all you get.
Everybody knows what that is.
Yeah.
No,
I
okay,
said
but
that
what's
was
your
a
real one? I'm sorry.
I mean, that wasn't entirely a joke.
Okay, well, let me
Danganronpa.
explain.
Okay, so Danganronpa is a visual novel where basically high school students are trying to kill one another, and they're all the ultimate at something. So like the best at whatever they do. So you have like the best baseball player, you have the best like biker gang leader, like crap like that. And they all get shoved into an environment where if they want to survive, if they want to get out of the school and graduate, they have to commit a murder and get away with it. And it sounds really weird. I mean, it gets weirder in the other installments, but it has a really like compelling story. The soundtrack's really good, and just a lot of the characters and writing and stuff is just really like enjoyable. And mention the like kind of piecing it together, because the thing I didn't mention is the class trials, where after a murder is conducted, you have to investigate like the environments, talk to people, and kind of get their stories or alibis, and you kind of have to figure out what happens. And then that plays out in the class trials, where everyone all gets in a circle and tries to figure out who done it. And it's really like it's hard to describe, especially without spoiling too much, because it's such a narrative driven game.
Yeah.
But you have Xbox Game Pass or anything, or just morbid curiosity, I would recommend that game.
You want to talk about what really should sponsor this podcast is Game Pass. We don't go an episode without talking about them.
That is true. It's
yeah,
kind of
but
uncanny.
Really get Game Pass. Anyway, but yeah, my experience with it is I just looked up a playthrough of it. This was before it came to Game Pass, and I haven't played it yet. But I know the premise of the story, and it does seem like if you are into like those visual nonsense and like games that are very story driven, yeah, this is right up your alley. Like if you like the Phoenix Wright series, then I think you would
Ace
really
Attorney, yeah.
Ace Attorney. Yeah, sorry, that's the main character. If you like the Ace Attorney series, then like you would love this. That's a Seth.
It's a really good detective game, like that for sure. Like, I was also told Robert about this game before. Not saying I'm the one who turned him on to it, just saying that like I was also turned on to this by one of our friends, Jake, and I played it and I loved it, and I'm glad Robert got a chance. If you want to like. I actually think this is a really good game for, just to add on to Robert's points, I think this is a good game even if you're not into visual novels. I don't like visual novels typically because they're like, I'm going to be honest, they're weeby trash most of the time, and there's not a lot in terms of like gameplay.
This one has like a pretty like interesting, I guess, balance of like kind of gameplay elements and like.
Seth just went for
like,
the throat.
Listen, it's just the kettle. It's the kettle calling the pot black, or however that saying goes. Because I know I'm also a weeb. But like this game is insanely fun. Like I agree with Robert because like Danganronpa, like you will literally at a certain point be like, I'm pulling out notepads, I'm writing down people's alibis, I'm trying to cross-reference stuff. It's crazy. It's like it's a really good detective game if you're into that.
Yeah. And that's actually stuff I've done. I have like 5 pages worth of notes I hand wrote.
That's what I've also done.
Yeah.
Wow,
it's very good.
Gosh. Freaking nerds. No, I'm joking. I'm just playing with y'all.
We talked about Star Wars for an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Robert,
you know what the best part is?
Like,
this isn't the. This is not like the first.
Drew said, "Oh, not in it. You were watching Berserk before this."
Yeah. All right. Well, yeah. I was joking. Clearly, Robert. This is like the 4th podcast we've done about Star Wars. I'm surprised we haven't. I'm pretty sure one of my fresh picks was an anime recommendation too, like a while back. No, of course I watched.
Yeah, I think so.
Anyway, okay, Seth, you talked a little bit about Rocket. Do you have?
I'm gonna hold off on my fresh podcast until I hear yours, Drew. So
what the heck? Oh, yeah, we do. We actually definitely have the same. Then you know what? I'll mix up the order and I'll go right now just to answer your question. Because Seth, you are right. My fresh pick is very much TMNT Shredder's Revenge, also on Game Pass.
Yeah.
That game.
Yeah.
For those who don't know me, one of my, I'm a big Star Wars guy, I'm a big Marvel guy, but one thing I also really love is Turtles. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Loved them ever since I was a kid. Still love them as an adult. It's great. I know a lot of really weird facts about the show because there are a lot of weird facts about it. And this game, it's a short, in the 16-bit style beat 'em up, but it's so much fun. There's so much care into it. A lot of everyone's moves are different fighting game references, like from different characters. There's 6 playable characters at the start, and then 1 character you unlock after you beat the game. And it's so much fun. All the bosses are memorable. The music in this game is perfect, from classics to, like the classic original TMNT opening to the new songs. It's great. I have nothing but good things about this game. It's like most of our picks, it is on Game Pass. So if you have an Xbox, get Game Pass. There's no reason not to play it. It's really short.
PC. It's on PC Game Pass.
And it's on PC Game Pass. Yeah, so if you have a PC, you can play it too. But I really recommend this game. It's so much fun, especially if you can get friends to play it, because both Seth and Robert and myself, we all played it. It's so much fun.
What I really want to do is get like a 6-player game going.
That'd be fun.
Okay,
That would be
I gotta say this. I actually did try it one time where I matchmake into an arcade game with another player, and that lobby quickly filled up to 6, and it was none of us are communicating, yet we're all just it is the most insane stuff. There's so many enemies on screen, everybody's doing supers all at the same time. It was a blast. It was pure insanity.
Party, dude, is all you'll hear.
I agree. I think I really think that Shredder's Revenge is great. One thing I incorrectly said before, I think, I'm not sure in podcast, is like Dotemu made this game, which also made Streets of Rage 4. They did not, but they did publish this game.
Yeah.
It was actually made by a studio called Tribute Games, which I think their previous beat 'em up was the Scott Pilgrim game, which I've also heard very good things.
Yeah.
But Shredder's Revenge is so much fun. Even me, who's not really much of a Turtles fan, the game has just so much charm to it. Yeah. There's so many like cool little fun animations that just fleshes out the characters. That like particularly with the bosses, that is just, it's super neat. Like one of my favorite ones is you go to the zoo and like you meet Rocksteady and Bebop and they're chased after a car crash, and then like something digs up from underneath, like I think Rocksteady, and he runs in place before he falls into the pit. It's funny. Mm-hmm. I love this game. I think I'm afraid that Shredder's Revenge is going to get slept on, and I hope it isn't, because it's like there's just so much like love and care gone into that game, and I think more people need to give beat 'em up some love.
My only issue with it is, as someone who works in the news industry, it does pain me every time playing as April, because she is using like incredibly expensive camera and sound equipment to beat up people and is breaking it each time. Every time she does an air super, she breaks like a probably $1,000 camera. And that just hurts my soul as someone who works in the news and who owns my own camera. So, it's terrible. Can't play anything.
It's fine. No. It's fine.
It's fine.
She's the best character. She is the best character.
Oh, she probably is. She's really fun to play. She has a ton of references.
Joke. People thought she was going to be a joke character, but no, she's like the best character in the game.
Yeah, she's really
Casey's
fun.
Also really good too. Like, oh my god.
That's the character you unlock once you beat the game, yeah. He also has a bunch of sports references. But the three of us have been talking for a while. Randy, do you have, it's okay if you don't, but do you have a either fresh pick of the week or rotten pick?
Technically this comes out tomorrow. Okay. But I mean, I have high hopes that it will still go pretty well. But regardless, I guess, even if you don't have the expansion, play Forza Horizon 5. The expansion for Hot Wheels expansion comes out tomorrow.
Oh, yeah.
And the original Hot Wheels expansion for Forza Horizon 3, that was the only other time they've done a Hot Wheels expansion.
Oh, they didn't do it for 4?
No, they didn't. They touched, they did an Island DLC and then a Lego partnered DLC.
Oh, Lego, that's what it was.
But
that's awesome.
But yeah, that comes out tomorrow, and that's exactly what I'm gonna play tomorrow as soon as I get off work, home, and just play the shit out of that.
Right. Also on Game Pass, should throw that out there.
On Game Pass.
Wow, Xbox. I know
DLC itself is.
Xbox. I know you're listening. Please, with the sponsorship, all right? We're already doing it. Like, come on.
Please, Big Phil.
I need to pay rent. Like, give me just.
The only issue with my pick was that I played Danganronpa on the Switch.
It's fine. It's still on Game Pass. It counts.
No. It is on Game Pass, but I played the Decadence version.
Robert, no one would have known that if you just didn't say that. So.
Look, I gotta be honest with the crowd.
Fair enough, I guess. Fair enough. I like the integrity. Okay. Well,
it's also, I think the only difference with the Decadence version is just that you also get the extra added like games, stuff like Danganronpa 2, I think 3, and like the new Decadence game, which is
it's Danganronpa S Ultimate Summer Camp, whatever. It's like a non-canon Mario Party-esque spin-off thing. Like, what if the characters from like 1, 2, and V3 all like hung out or whatever?
But don't they die?
In the game, they do.
On the non-canon one.
Okay.
But yeah, this is a non-canon game where everyone is alive.
Okay.
Gotcha. It's more there for fun and fan service.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Quite literally.
Well, with that said, I think.
Oh, hold on.
Oh.
I have one.
Oh, okay.
I just adjusted mine based on yours.
Okay, I thought me and you had we did have the same one, but you had a backup. I like it. Okay, then go ahead.
All right, my last one is not really something recent, but I feel like I just want to talk about it because I really love this game, and I think it honestly might be one of my Game of the Year contenders for how interesting and unique it is. Tunic. Tunic is
That's the
If you don't
little
know,
Fox game, right?
it
Yeah,
is.
like Fox Legend of
platformer?
Zelda.
It is.
Like Legend of Zelda.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Your
it's
Fox.
basically a Legend of Zelda type game, like Robert said. Old school style, like Link to the Past. You're just a little fox. You wash up on an island and you start exploring. Um, I love this game, and it probably might be one of my favorite games of this year, just because what Undertale did for like turn-based RPGs, like old style, like Earthbound and like Mother 3 and all that stuff. Um, what that game did for those, I feel like Tunic is doing for like Legend of Zelda likes, um, because it's this really wonderful game where as you're playing it, it's very aware of itself that it is a video game. So you collect these like instruction manual pages, um, highlighting that it is a game. But the thing is, the instruction manual is written in like a unique language. So it's but it gives you clues about what's going on with like pictures and like sometimes throwing in a odd English word. Tunic has because not only is it a good Legend of Zelda like game, but it also has these really awesome like sequences where you're figuring out the world and it's like drip feeding you like information about not only the world but the game within the game. And there's even like a cool meta story because as you're picking up these manual pages, you're seeing in the margins that someone has already gone through here and written stuff and even put up little tips and like things. And it's really cool. I beat the game, I want to say a month or two or so ago, but I love it to death. And it has a wonderful art style. It has sort of like an isometric HD look, which I really dig. And the soundtrack is some of the chillest beats to like explore to. This game is just the whole vibe, and I think like everyone at least deserves to give it a try. And thankfully it has some accessibility options, so it's like I just want to experience exploring the world. I don't really want to worry about combat. Great, there's options for that. So give this game a shot. It's
Yeah,
on
that
Game
sounds really
Pass.
fun.
I was Seth. I was about to ask the big question of, is it on Game Pass? I think you.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Of course it is. Well, then, like all our picks, if it's on Game Pass, just play it. But yeah, it looks interesting. It looks. I don't know much about this game. I'm just doing it like just what I looked up. But just from like a few screenshots I've seen, I do like the art style and it looks fun.
Robert, you played it, right? Like,
Yeah,
if
I played it a
remember.
bit, but I couldn't really get into it.
I
Which is
definitely
odd
recommend.
because I am the Zelda shill of our podcast.
Yeah.
I
Start
really
playing
do
Ocarina
recommend.
of Time again though.
Yeah, I really recommend like getting into this game. And if you feel stuck, I feel like the game is purposely designed for you to look up tips. It doesn't like discourage you because the cool thing about this game is like since people are like discovering secrets and stuff together, it really does encourage like an online community to come together and like, well, this is what I found or this is what you should do and stuff like that. It's really neat. I like I said, go check this game out. It's awesome.
All right. Well, with that said, unless anyone else wants to talk about any other games they recommend or about anything on Star Wars,
Power Wash Simulator.
all right. I don't know why I was expecting you to say Danganronpa again.
No, Power Wash Simulator.
Okay, cool. Good to know. Robert, that should have been your pick.
That was going to be my pick. I was like, I want to show Danganronpa.
Fair enough. But with that said, I want to first thank all three of you for coming on and talking about Star Wars. Like we've never done that before.
Not
I
once.
have.
Yeah. And, I want to thank everyone for listening and stay safe out there.